available. Thank you, Chris. They're available to you, after the session on the Mindfulness Center of Atlanta website. There's a page there for mindfulness for the moment. And there's recordings there as well as some other resources, particularly things that I might be referring to, a study or a poem or anything like that. So during the month of February, we've been reflecting on love, maybe because of Valentine's Day. Past 3 weeks, we talked about the importance of love of self. And then the week following that, we talked about love of others. And last week was love of nature. So today I wanted to offer a brief reflection on love of life and how loving life uh, allows us to live a little bit more intentionally. After all, we are here for now, living this life. So how am I doing that? How am I living? What's my purpose? You could even say my vocation, my reason for getting out of bed in the morning. My primary mindfulness teacher, John Kabat-Zinn, when leading long retreats, he often poses the question, he says, what is your job with a capital J? What are you here for? And I think it's an important question. And it highlights that the practice of mindfulness is not just for me alone. Yes, mindfulness can help reduce your anxiety and lower your blood pressure and help you with chronic pain, increase your focus, and many other things. But mindfulness also helps us to go out into the world, to get outside of ourselves as well. So it's worth considering what it is you have to give to the world. What's your job with a capital J? And how might mindfulness help make you more intentional about living this life? And perhaps even if the life you are currently living is not the one you feel totally called to. The Choctaw elder and spiritual teacher Stephen Charleston writes meditations and poems and reflections that focus on these kind of universal questions, like why am I here? Where do I belong? Where am I going? Here's one of Charleston's reflections, brief reflection. He says, we're here for a reason. Our lives are entrusted to us for a purpose. It's not always an easy or glamorous job, but it is the vital work of restoration, reconciliation, and renewal that must be done, and done on the run in the face of rapid changes. So perhaps we can hold these questions with us a little bit today in our practice. What is the work that only you can offer to the world in your own uniqueness? What is this one moment in time asking of you? How might you live life more intentionally and with purpose? And how might intentional living and doing that purposeful work become a true act of love for the world and for this life? And with that, let's take some time to practice this non-judgmental awareness in the present moment, which we could also call not just non-judgmental, but a loving awareness, a friendly awareness. So we'll sit for a while in this sense of present moment awareness without judgment. And it's not just a thing about working with your mind, it's a full bodied experience. So let's attend to the body in preparing to sit for a while so that you have a sense of groundedness in the low body. Maybe getting your feet flat on the floor, or if you're sitting on the floor, adjusting yourself so that there's a stable kind of seated position. And lengthening up through the spine. and letting the head be level so that it's not just kind of like dropping down or off to one side, but just doing your best so that there's a kind of opening and a relaxed but also alert physical posture. And you can close the eyes or gently lower the eyes just to part way, maybe casting your gaze down in front of you on the ground. And just noticing the breath, and not needing to manipulate the breath, but just noticing the breath in this moment. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. And just let the breath be natural, whatever that is at this time. And you might place your hands somewhere in a natural position that allows them to come to a certain kind of stillness or rest. Maybe letting the palms rest on the thighs, or hands facing up, resting on the thighs, or gathered together, one on top of the other in your lap. And parting the lips slightly so that if there's any tension in the jaw or face, that you might release that. And we're not forcing any of this. It's just an invitation for the body to be upright but not uptight. So that's a lot of kind of prompts about the physical part of the practice, the body sitting here. With respect to the mind, the practice is about being present, open, and awake, and neither clinging to nor rejecting anything that shows up in this moment. And that present, open awareness of mind also brings with it a certain kind of spirit or attitude, this non judgmental awareness, a loving glance at what is showing up, a compassion toward yourself as you experience yourself clinging to and rejecting everything. And you might also adopt an attitude of curiosity to all that is presenting in this moment, and letting things just come into your awareness and leave your awareness without a big wrestling match or struggle, and without rushing to liking or disliking or qualifying that which you notice. And do your best to see if you can kind of divest from just simply noticing things as pleasant or unpleasant, good or bad, pro and con, and let that dualistic kind of thinking just let it be for now, and just being open to whatever's presenting. So notice where the mind is right now. And you can acknowledge that you're projecting into the future, or you're writing a to-do list in your head, or going over something that happened yesterday or 5 years ago. And whatever it is, then just doing your best to release that and not be caught up in it, and instead just orient yourself back in this particular moment, and maybe allowing the breath to be that guide for present moment experience, noticing this in breath, this out breath, and this body of yours sitting here in this moment. And you can do that each time you notice that the mind is getting caught on something, pulled in, taking you from this moment. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's exactly what one of the things the mind does. So we're just practicing a little bit of discipline of first recognizing the mind is in the past or the future or caught up in a storyline. And then we're practicing releasing that and coming back to the moment and allowing the breath, this breath, this body to be the guide to bring you back. And even if you mind goes off 1,000 times in the next few minutes, and it's just 1,000 opportunities to bring it back, to practice bringing it back. We'll end our time of sitting together with a quote from Howard Thurman. Thurman, as many of you know, was an American author and philosopher, theologian, Christian mystic, and civil rights leader. He didn't so much lead as going out on marches, but he led in terms of being a true kind of mentor and spiritual advisor to many in the civil rights, the folks that really were leading that whole movement, including Martin Luther King Sr. and Martin Luther King Jr. So this is what Thurman says about this kind of living your life, intentionally. He says, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that. What makes you come alive? Go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive.